Welcome to the Great Undoing so that the soul evolution can continue and evolve. I am Johanna Burkhardt, the Soul Shaman, and I am adding this audio contemplation into the beginning of the Masterclass replay because this section actually did not record on the video. And so I wanted to make sure that you guys that watch the replay and those that were attending live that want to go back have this information available to you that we started with. And so for those who are new to me, I am Johanna Burkhardt. I am the Soul Shaman. I am a medium. I am an energy reader. I'm an author. I'm a shaman. I'm all the things, all the labels. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I'm a daughter. I don't define myself by any of those things, but they are all things that I get to experience in this life. And what I'm about to dive into just a little bit of before we get into the masterclass itself is a lot of the purpose behind why we do the work that we do on ourselves, for ourselves, why we need to unbind and release, right? Transform the hardcore beliefs that are ingrained and patterned in us. Some of this happened before we were even conscious. Maybe it happened in the crystalline waters of our mother's womb, or maybe it happened when we were 2 years old, right? Maybe it happened in another lifetime. So we are bound and weighed down a lot of times, especially when we're coming into the beginning of our awakening, the first few years, by belief systems that aren't serving, by fears, by emotional densities, by things that we have done in our life, by things that have been done, quote unquote, to us, right? And those become the filters for which we perceive information. So whether it's coming in from your higher self, the person standing in front of you, or an angel or a galactic or whatever, a loved one that has passed on, it's that information, that frequency that they are offering has got to move through the density of you, of what you have cluttered yourself with. So it's got to move through your auric field. It's got to move through the belief systems that bind you, right? Because beliefs really box us in. It's got to move through the emotional heaviness that you are carrying on a day-to-day basis. It's got to move through the food that you eat. All of that is energy, and all of it is a denser form of energy. So that frequency that was coming in now has to go through all these filters. And sometimes this is why we think we don't hear our guidance, or we don't hear our angels or our guides, because it's getting distorted or completely muted, right? It's boggled and we don't hear it. And or it comes in so distorted and mutated through all of the filters that had to go through. It's not actually good guidance anymore. And I have been that person, so please, I'm not placing any kind of judgment. But what happens when we do this work is we start to manifest the life that we desire by clearing those filters, right? By removing the masks, as I like to call them, and getting to the root of the matter. One root can have 50 different masks that it wears of beliefs and fears. And so getting to the root work is the quickest way. I call it walking through the fire. And because it's not always the most comfortable work, it can be still a sacred experience. And that's why I want to do it the way that I'm going to be doing it. A course that's going to be being offered, because I want you guys to feel safe and sacred and be able to get this work done and not spend the next 10 years trying to do it the hard way. So how do we do this? What does manifesting have to do with this? Well, we talk a lot about in the spiritual communities, the 5D. And the 5D is really where we already are. The 5D is here. It's just a choice to live in that frequency or not. And the 5D is instant manifestation. Okay, this is that present tangible manifestation that I often talk about. And so your response or reaction in any given moment is going to open up new pathways. And so, for example, if you have $5 in the bank and you, in that moment, choose to flip out and worry and react and go down the rabbit hole, and you are opening up pathways of which will give you opportunities to heal that wound, right? It will bring in experiences that will challenge you for you, to strengthen you and give you an opportunity to heal the wound. Now, if you were to stay in, say, neutrality and say, it's okay, like I'm right now in this moment, I am okay, life is okay, it's possible that funds will come in, I don't need to go down the rabbit hole, I don't need to worry, I can just breathe this out and say, all right, this is where I'm at, and it doesn't have to stay that way. That kind of response, right? That calm, neutral response of you not taking it personally, of you not making it mean something about you, opens up, again, more pathways of manifestation, of ways of which, so this way you're going to call in more experiences that bring you into that state of neutrality, that are going to bring you into that experience of things working out, right? So that you reprogram. And this is the patterning that we want, because patterning is not all bad. Patterning is something that allows us to repeat a scenario. And so we want to have good patterns. So we want to constantly be reinforcing our behavior and our reaction or responses in a positive pattern, so that our life becomes more fluid. We step into that flow, which is one of the stages of an awakening that I'll be talking about here in a moment. So what's powerful about this is even when you're watching the news or a TV show, right, your internal response to something that you're seeing has the ability to shift that whole energy for all of humanity. And I want you to really hear that, right? So let me say it again. Even when you're, say, watching the news or a TV show, your internal response, right, to what you are seeing or hearing has the ability to shift whatever that is, whatever that energy is, for all of humanity, for the entire planet. So if you are watching something about the news, right, that is something that has like a negative connotation, something that we're constantly battling, but your internal response is not one of reaction, it's one of hope and neutrality, it's one of seeing things a little bit differently, right? Your internal response, that you are no longer triggered by that or reacting to it or taking it personal or thinking it means something about you or the world, or that we're going to die, or that, you know, life sucks, whatever, you know what I mean? That one response has the ability to change all of humanity. And how that is because you're not the only one. So the more of you individually who are responding from a space of neutrality have the ability to shift the energy of the planet as a whole. And that's what this whole experience is about. This whole experience is about collectively moving to the 5D, collectively raising our vibration, collectively raising our consciousness, being more aware that we are the creators of our reality and that we have the ability to take back our power at any time. So when you experience these problems, right, these things, the instant manifestation becomes, again, it's always going to, whatever your response or reaction is going to create an outcome. And that outcome is going to be more possibilities, more opportunities. It's either going to be one to give you more lessons and more opportunities to grow and learn, or it's going to bring you more opportunities that you are desiring based on your response to that struggle in that space, right? And so I really wanted to make sure that I dived into this is the part of the law of attraction that we really are living in a space of we attract who we are, where we are. The law of attraction is not attracting what it is that you want, right, or that you desire because you just keep repeating it over and over again. It is about, it's going to attract the vibration of what you live in, the current that runs in the background, right? Not the front you put on, but the current that runs in the background. That is the root. And that is the vibration you are actually always offering. And that is the vibration of which is going to be matched by the universe. And this is why this work is so important, because no matter how many masks you wear, no matter how many affirmations you state, no matter how much perfume you place on it, if your background current that vibration isn't shifted, then your reality will not shift. So thank you for listening to this beginning contemplation, and we will now join the Great Undoing Masterclass. We're gonna start recording now. So the 4 stages of an awakening are, the first one is awareness. The awareness is twofold, and this is where majority of us spend all of our time. This is where I spent the first probably 3 years of my awakening that started in 2011. And the awareness is 2 pieces. So it is being aware of the thoughts that you think, the emotions that you feel, the triggers, the patterns, the relationships, all the bad stuff, all the good stuff. It's being aware of it. It doesn't mean you have to do anything with it. It doesn't mean that you have to like it. It doesn't mean any of those things. It's simply an awareness of what's going on. But I take this deeper. So you'll hear a lot of people say that awareness is the first stage, and it is. But I take this very, very much deeper. We cannot move from that first stage until we forgive, until we open the hand that is clenching these things and we allow them to be, just be there. And we are aware of them. We are aware that maybe we have too much anger in our body, or too much sadness, or that we had a crappy childhood, or that we don't have a lot of income, so we can't make our dreams come true at this moment, right? We just need to be in that awareness of what's in front of us, where we've been, and see it for just simply what it is. Part of that step is intention. So you heard me talk about ADD, right? And getting distracted. This is what happens, and this is what happened to me. When you wake up, you want to learn all the things. Just as someone said, I want to learn all the things. I want to know everything. Before I do anything, I want to know it all. We get distracted by wanting to know all the things, and we forget what's important. What's important is not how to open our gifts to serve another. What's important is that we know ourselves. These gifts that open up within us, right? Our clairaudience, our clairsentience, that ability to feel, that ability to sense, that intuition, that higher self connection. All of that opens up for you first. It opens up so that you can help yourself, so that you can master your emotions, so that you can become aware of your patterns, so that you can understand what has happened in your life and the purpose that it served. They don't open up so that you can go do card readings and heal and do all the things, right? That's great. I mean, we should share our gifts. But if we don't use them to help ourselves first, how on earth are we ever going to use them to help another person? So we really have to begin with that intention. So we become aware of all the things, right? And this is not just bad things, you guys. We all have amazing qualities about ourselves and quirks and unique things. We just are always in that awareness. We're conscious of what's coming out of our mouth. When someone speaks to us, how we feel in that moment. Maybe that person gives us icky vibes, or that person brings us high, gets us this really good joy energy, or this person triggers the shit out of us. We are aware of it. We don't have to do anything with it. But then we have this other piece of the first stage, and that is intention. And that intention needs to be the simple things. Who am I? Who am I? It's not going to be a mother, a daughter, a husband. It's not going to be a light worker. It's not going to be any of those things. It's going to be something profound, and you're going to read it and go, well, that's just ridiculous. I can't tell people that. I mean, mine's somewhere in my notes on my phone. And when I remember doing it in the bathtub, I thought, wow, that's so like eloquent and fancy. I can't tell people that. But why not? Why couldn't we? But maybe it isn't for us to tell. Maybe that's for us to embody. Maybe that's for us to feel. So who am I? I will get completely distracted if I don't have my notes in front of me. Okay. What is my purpose? Again, not my mission, my purpose, right? What is that thing that you enjoy the most? This is going to help you understand your purpose in choosing to come back and have this experience. I know my purpose is to be present and to enjoy experiences, right? Touch, taste, to live in the moment, to watch the smile, listen to the laughs. That's why I came here, to be in complete and utter presence of what's happening around me and enjoying those moments in the now. I love experiences. I love adventures. I love road trips. I love get-togethers. I love trying new things. I didn't have to look at the gene keys or do any of those things to figure it out. Yes, they're great confirmations. Yes, I use them as tools, but they're just confirmation. So think about when we say, what is your purpose? What is it, that thing that you embody in your life every day that lights you up, that gives you that spark, that glow? That is your purpose. And then how can I live from my heart and not my mind? How can I drop into my heart every day? Take the thoughts that I think, the experiences, the worries, the things that I'm receiving, and bring it down into my heart and back out. How can I do that? How can I allow it to sit in there and percolate and come out in a different expression? Right? So these are the things, these are our intentions. And an intention means that we are directing the energy. Kuan Yin just came in. Woo. So you are directing that energy, but until you have an intention and you are directing that flow of energy, you're all over the place. You're going to have all these things and you're not going to understand what they mean or what they go. Is this an opportunity? Is this a roadblock? You're going to be all over the place. So we get into that awareness and we set our intentions. That's step one. Step two is surrender. Surrender, acceptance. Those are two words I will use interchangeably. And I want to be clear with this. Surrender means, instead of holding this crystal like this is what I want, this is my desire, right? This is what's going on in my life. I do this. That's it. I open my hand. It's still there. I can look at it. I can see that I'm holding it. I can see that it's in front of me. Maybe I don't like it, but I'm not doing this. I don't have a death grip. I have just opened my hand and I've allowed. It can come, it can go, it can get bigger, it can get smaller, it can change color, it can do tricks, whatever it wants, right? I've surrendered. I've opened my hand. What does this do? And it's the second step, you guys. So that tells you how important it is. Surrender allows. It opens all the doors, all the windows. We're not boxing ourselves in. We're not limiting ourselves. It's a pass-through. We become the ultimate observers and we stop grabbing on to things. Metatron calls this being the cloud. When we hold on to stuff, the storm cloud builds, right? It builds, it gets darker, it gets full and full and full, and then it cracks and there's that thunder and then the storm ensues on top of us. It's attachment. We attach, we start calling in all those things that we're focused on until it builds and it breaks and it falls all around us. Or we pull it down so tightly over us, it becomes the fog that we can't see through. So when we surrender, we accept that everything that's happening in our lives, every situation, every emotion, every experience is one that is happening for us. Because we are in the 5D, right? We talk about moving into the 5D. We are already in the 5D. It's just a choice to live in that frequency. We've already gotten there. And 5D is instant manifestation. So if you've noticed, like, you have this thought and the next thing you know, you have that experience that you've now stepped into, or it's appeared in front of you, or it showed up on Facebook, or the clock clicked off, or someone said it on the TV. This is the energy of what we are in. So what we focus on, we create. What we focus on expands. Right? So we really need to surrender and allow it to pass through and allow us to see maybe that person is being a jerk, but in this moment,
I cannot take that personally. I don't have to react. My response to whatever is happening, comings, the goings, the behaviors, my response creates that manifestation. So for every time I respond one way, 5 pathways open up. And if I respond this way, 5 other pathways open up. And it will create another set of experiences that I've called in, and then so on and so forth, right? Do you see how that instant manifestation works? If you guys know, early on, before I brought spirituality into my business, I worked with, the Jack Campbell, thank you, for that. He did the success principles. He's famous for The Secret and things like that. I went through his ridiculous coaching program. All of that learning, you know what the only thing I took away from that was? E plus R equals O. The event or experience plus the response or reaction will equal your outcome. If you want to change your reality outside, you have to change what's going on in here. How you respond in any moment to any emotion, to any experience, dictates the reality that lays out in front of you, the path that opens up. And so this is why this is such an important thing for me to teach, because I could teach you the regular ways of manifesting. I could teach you the other ways of opening your gifts, but I would be teaching you upside down. You want to get there and you want to do it with integrity, and you want it to do it in the highest amount of confidence and light and trust within yourself, then you have to take those fears. You have to take those limiting beliefs. You have to take all of that stuff and you have to embody it. You have to integrate it, because all of those things are fractals of you. They're all separate parts of you. Does anybody have any questions so far? Fear of actually connecting with beings. Sci-fi movies here. Okay, great thing, Lynette. I'm glad you said that, because I had the same thing. I was a control freak. I didn't want to connect. I trance channel sometimes, but I do it at home and alone, mic'd, so recording myself, because I'm not ready to do it in public yet. And that's a big surrender, right? I'm allowing a different consciousness and a different energy to kind of, they don't really take over your body, but that's the best way to describe it. You kind of become the observer of what your body and mouth are doing. And I'm so afraid, because I'm not in that moment, I'm not in control. And so I haven't put myself out publicly yet. But here's what I can tell you with that, and it's going to be the same thing when you're responding to an asshole on the street, or a rude customer in the store, or your child who's throwing a ridiculous fit, is you are the light. And when you embody that you are a crystalline structured being of light and love, and that you are made up of, your DNA is made of crystalline energy. When you embody that you are the light, and that light shines brightly through you, from inside of you, not from outside, from inside of you, inside out. There is no longer a need for protecting your energy. There is no longer a need to being afraid of a reptilian energy or an entity. Because yes, there are things out there that are have less than the right intentions, but they're not out to harm you. We are raising our consciousness together. We are moving in and evolving our soul together as one. We're not separate. And so when we see that, our response to that energy is the only thing that we have the ability to control. And so I invite anybody who's afraid of connecting with a being to do so in the way of which I will be leading you guys through tonight in the transmission, because it's a very sacred way of connecting with yourself. And it's a very sacred way of connecting with anybody. It's one of the secrets of how you connect to your higher self, your inner children, all of it. You want to do it in a very sacred way and get familiar with it. Allow yourself a time limit. There's lots of things, but we have to face that fear, walk into the fear, embody it, and have grace for ourselves. The third one is what everybody wants. It's flow. right? We all want to get into flow, and flow, this is where we have that physical change in our body and in our life. This is the manifest. When we're flowing, we're allowing the things to move through us. We can have a conversation with somebody who's triggering us, and we respond with peace, and we respond in calm. And we're no longer identifying it as meaning something about us, or identifying it as, why is this happening to me? Like that victim complex, right? We're no longer doing that. That is flow. Flow is not a comfortable, easy space. And this is the misconception. When I step into flow, life gets easy. There's no more problems. The river is wide and it's bountiful. No, that's great. And yes, you will have a lot of that. But flow is allowing all the experiences of our lives to come and go, and that we know that they're happening for us, that there is a reason behind it. It's an opportunity to evolve our souls. Maybe collectively, a group of you decided that you needed to have this experience, and you connect, you have this whatever, and then all of a sudden it breaks apart and you're no longer friends, or you're no longer business partners. Well, guess what? You don't need to take that personal, because what's happened is you guys have come together and you've learned what you needed from each other. I've been married 3 times. I don't make that a secret. I can tell you exactly what I learned from my first 2 husbands. And I used to, think that it was a victim thing. Like, oh, I had this and my life was so hard and I was abused and I had this and I had that. But going through this experience of taking these steps, and really integrating, because it's not really healing, it's an integration process of this energy, makes you no longer afraid. It makes you no longer afraid. If you are afraid of, honestly, most people are afraid of success more than they are of failure. And Lynette hit it perfectly. That commitment of falling on your face in front of people, also of getting really big. Let's say you get super successful and you make $100,000, and then we have that fear come in. Will I be able to keep it up? Will I be able to make that a consistent thing in my life? Or is it all going to dry up? That was my one good idea and then it's all gone. And so these are the fears of success that we have. What if I get really big? You know what mine was, is what if I get really famous and big, right? And I'm in the light, and then people come in and they spotlight my family. Well, why doesn't your husband do this? And why don't your children do this? And that was a big fear of mine. And I'll tell you that those kind of fears mean that we are still clenching like this. We are identifying that those people or those things mean something about us. Have you ever heard that statement? You can lead the horse to the water, but you can't make it drink. That is my life with students, with my own family in particular. We can only guide and be the embodiment of what it is that we want to share with the world. We cannot force anybody to do it. And the more we try to force somebody to do it, actually, the more resistance they'll usually push back, right? It's not like you don't want to shove and break your way in. It needs to be an opening. And so a lot of times when we trigger people with what we say, especially when we're spiritual, right? And look at me, I talk about aliens, I talk about galactic beings, I talk about fairies and all of these things. I channel Gaia Sophia a lot, which is Mother Earth. And, I don't care if people think I'm crazy, but in the beginning I did. But guess what I'm doing every time I talk about my galactics or Mother Earth or the fairies? I'm planting seeds in their consciousness. I'm planting a seed of a door that is going to open, even if it's just a little bit. We don't need to force people to our side. We don't have to force people to believe what we believe, or to buy our program, right? Or to love us. We're just there to be ourselves. We're just there to honor our truth. And when we honor our truth and we understand and we know with every fiber of our being that it doesn't freaking matter if that's not the same truth as your neighbor, we no longer are afraid to speak it, because that there is no identification with that. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything about you at all. So really that's what flow is about. You no longer want to escape your pain. You don't want to project it. You're not, you may be triggered, but you don't respond like, those things that we sometimes do, where we fly off the handle and jump on somebody. Those things don't happen. It doesn't mean that we don't have uncomfortable things. Somebody asked, how do we know if we've kind of done the work already and we've moved through it? That's a great question, because here's the truth with this. This is kind of a double-edged sword, and this is why we have to trust ourselves and really be in tune with our bodies and understanding, being in that awareness, right? You're in tune with your body. You're anchored into your body when you're aware. Sometimes we will have a situation that will repeat, that you are like, I've healed this. Why is this coming up again? Why is this coming up again? Why am I dealing with this pattern again? Why is this person here? And you notice in yourself that you're not triggered by it, but you're really curious as to why it's here, why this experience is coming in. And it can be a couple of things. So I'm going to go over those couple of things, because this is why we have this, you are unique, right? So one size does not fit all. One, you could be pulling it in from the collective. You could be pulling in a fear or a pattern that you kind of accidentally attached onto and didn't realize it, and now it's manifesting in your life. That happens to me. Not as much as it used to, but in the beginning it happened all the time. It wasn't my fear, it wasn't my anxiety, but I somehow felt it, I clenched onto it, and then because I was so focused and holding on to this so tightly, I opened those pathways and those experiences came forward. Another one of that is a choice, right? This is an opportunity. We talk about patterns. Not all patterns are bad. The more you practice, the more you repeat these healing steps, these steps of returning to your wholeness, that is creating healthy patterns. That is creating patterns of success. This is why there's like a bazillion-dollar industry on just how to wake up in the morning. Do you have coffee with MCT oil? Do you have water with lemon? Do you drink celery juice? Like, do you work out? Like, do you journal? Do you do gratitude? Like, anybody could write a book at this point about your morning routine, right? Why? Because healthy patterns create success in life. And we say negative patterns because the negative ones just continue to call in the experiences that we dislike, that make us feel heavy and icky and want to escape our life. And so we need to have the good patterns. So again, a situation could come up as an opportunity for you to say, oh, no, I am not going down this rabbit hole. I have healed this. I have done this. I'm good. Like, you don't bother me. I'm going to let you go right on by. And in that moment, it's like you sealed the deal, right? You stamped it. It's good. You're done. That new path has opened up, or maybe it's gotten a little wider. So there's different possibilities, or maybe there's the third option that you thought you did, but maybe there's a little bit more coming up. Maybe it's a layered thing. It was very layered for me because I had some serious, deep wounding. A lot of it was not in my conscious memory because it happened before we start recording memories consciously about the age of 5, 6, depending on the person. So some of it was super, super deep, and it had to come up in layers to not overwhelm me. But again, that doesn't mean it's going to take forever or a lifetime. The fourth one is enlightenment or embodiment, absorption point. I've heard them named all things. Enlightenment is when you've entered into that ascended master stage. And ascension, if you've watched my videos, means you've mastered your emotions. You've reached that point where you're able to allow all your emotions to move through you, and you're not affected by them. You're not attaching to them. You're not triggered completely by them. You understand that they're just energy and motion. It's coming up, it's showing you something, and you rebirth, right? You up leveled, you come into a new version of yourself. I want you to think of these problems that we have in our life, our fears, our judgments, our projections, as steps. They're steps. They're taking you to the next place. That's it. That's all they're doing. You can get stuck on that bottom step for a really long time. You can get stuck right before the top, right? But the top is not our goal. The top is we're done here. It is the journey. It is going up the steps. It is the process. Looking back every now and then going, yeah, I did that. I did that. I got through that. You didn't get to me. So remember that. So those are the steps. Went a little longer than I wanted to, but those are the steps that we use. That's the secret sauce. If that's all you take away from this, any situation that you come into, I want you to remember these steps. Are you aware of it? You don't have to like it, but you need to be aware of it. And you need to go through the forgiveness process and all that means is letting it go, not making it an anchor or an attachment or an identity of you. That intention, who am I? What is my purpose? How can I see and live from a place of my heart space? 2, acceptance or surrender. 3 is that flow, right? Where we're not escaping life anymore. And then 4, not a lot of people get to that point, but it happens throughout the journey where we're constantly rebirthing. Where the hell? Lynette says, where the hell are the heart buttons? Truth bombs. I know, it's not like a Facebook Live, huh? So I tend to go on and on and on, but the intuition part, I want to touch on this trust piece because this is that embodiment of these woundings. Because the wound I want to talk about real quick, or pain point, is abandonment. I'm going to list off a whole bunch of words that they gave me that are associated with abandonment. So if you follow the gene keys, it's going to be the core wound of denial. It's going to be lack, unloved, not good enough, neglected, unbalanced, fear of being left alone, guilt, neediness, meaning you are needy, people pleasing, invisibility, afraid to speak your truth, afraid to show up in this world. Fear of success, fear of failure, lack of confidence, just to name a few. Denying yourself or being denied of something. How it shows up in your body. I'm going to go over this because this is the biggest wound that humanity as a whole is experiencing and suffering from. So how this shows up in your body is going to be diabetes, bacterial or viral infections where you get sick a lot, right? Asthma, breathing issues, headache, fat accumulation, maybe around your midsection. You're off balance and clumsy a lot. The interesting one about this is where this one showed up for me, is I lost my hair. I had droopy eyelids and my lips would peel. And you'll notice you'll slouch a lot. I didn't have the slouching as much, but I lost my hair in bucket loads. I thought I had cancer, or something major was wrong with my thyroid. This is where we escape. So a lot of times people say you need to ground. You're ungrounded. It's because you don't want to be in your body. You don't want to have that connection with your body. You don't want to touch other people. You don't want to have that. And you don't want to be in your body. You don't want to experience. It's not safe to be there. This is a lot of solar plexus and throat chakra stuff. So this is that speaking that truth, right? And that empowerment. Our solar plexus is our stomach. It's our digestion. All the lower chakras deal with the emotions. And so this is where we have the acid reflux, the tummy aches, the bloating, the gas. This is a lot of where the cancer energy comes in. And then we wonder, why we have all this disease out there. So to heal this is what we're going to do. We're going to use these steps. We're going to use these steps to reconnect to our body, to feel into the emotion. And that's what we're going to do tonight in this transmission. There's a beautiful activation too that came through. Is we're going to create, and I'm going to show you guys how to create that sacred space to where you can give yourself a time to sit in this space and call forth this energy of whatever fear is coming forward at this time. This can be done on the fly. So when somebody has something that is triggering you, something that like maybe you're grieving, right? And all of a sudden something triggers a memory and it's really painful and you're feeling that gut-wrenching heartbreak. And you can take 20 minutes or 10 minutes and you can go sit with that energy. You're sitting with the emotion. You're sitting with it. You are having grace for yourself. Let me tell you, when it comes to our kids, our friends, our family, our best friends, when they're going through it, we're there with them. We listen to them. What can I do for you? How can I help you? And we rub their backs and we play with their hair and we try to bring them joy and love and we try to just comfort them. But we don't do it for ourselves. We are told not to feel. Maybe we're too emotional. Maybe we need to pull our big girl panties up. Maybe we need to just get on with it. Maybe we need to bypass it and just focus on the positive. We don't take that time to sit with that emotion and say, I see you. I see you. I feel you. I hear you. It just wants to be acknowledged. This is where we get into the energy of fractals. A person who's had the most perfect life will have 22 fractals of themselves. And that means when you were a kid, this is the best way to explain it. So if you were a kid and you had an invisible friend, or you spent a lot of time in imagination land where you like had these castles and you know what I mean, you're very imaginative. This is you escaping. You fractaled off and created a whole nother reality for yourself, just so that you could feel safe and not have to deal with what was happening in your life and in your body. So when we talk about inner children, it could be it could be you last week that had a major experience, and instead of dealing with that experience, it's like you cut that piece off of you and it just fractaled off. This is why we talk about unity. It's not separation from each other. I mean, it is, but it's more of separation from ourselves, from our experiences, from our emotions. So we create this sacred space and we go in there and we face that emotion, that version of ourselves. We feel it, we hear it, we know it, we see it, whatever shows up for us, and we accept it. We don't have to like it, but we accept it as part of us. We love it. We love ourselves in all our forms. In all our forms. This is what infinite love is. I don't even like to use the word unconditional. Infinite love means I accept you in all your forms. All of them. If you won't show up for you, who is? Who's going to do it? So we go seek somebody who's going to be there for us and support us and love us, but we don't do it for ourselves. So we go into this space and we do this. And when this process changed my life, because when you integrate that fear, that belief, that experience, whatever it was, that fractal, if you will, integrates into your energy, that density, right? So that emotion or belief or fear is like a block inside your body. It's a density. It's like when you walk into a room where someone just had a fight and you feel that energy, that's hitting density. It transforms it. It makes it light, and not as in bright light, as in non-existent energy, like an open energy, receiving energy. And then the next time that we're faced with a fear of, let's say it's money, and next time our bank account's low and the bills start coming in, we face whatever that underlying root fear is head on, and we've integrated it. So now we're like, it's all right. I don't have to go future project and start freaking out. You know why? Because your energy, your mind, your logical mind is searching through its database, and it's looking for a past experience that it can connect with and resonate with and say, this is what's going to happen. This is situation. This is what happened then. And look, it's going to happen again. And then we worry because of that past experience. And that worry creates, because there again, instant manifestation. We step into that worry. We start freaking out. We start focusing. What are we going to do? Oh my God, we start panicking. We get frantic. We get anxious. Our reaction, our response now opened up 3 pathways, probably more, of 3 things we're going to call in that are going to create us more worry, that are going to support the original worry. Do you see how that domino effect happens? So usually the worrying creates more worry to validate the first worry. Where if you just were like, okay, so I have $5 in my account, and in 2 weeks or a week or 3 days, I have $500 in bills due. Take a deep breath, validate it for a second, and then say, okay, is it possible? This is my favorite thing to do. It's my favorite trick. This is what helped me. I was a worrywart. Is it possible? I don't have to know how, but is it possible that $500 could find its way to me before these are due? Yes, it is possible, right? You don't know. Okay. Is it possible that if I'm 5 days late on my bills, that it's still okay? That I'm still a good person? Of course it is. What if I'm a month late? Does that mean I'm a bad person? Is it possible that that means nothing about me? It's possible. I like the rule of 3. The rule of 3 creates a new neural pathway for me. And if I can say yes 3 times, it's also a very good sales tactics. Why a lot of times when people come to the door or sell you something, they'll ask you 3 questions they know you're going to say yes to. There's a little trick for you. If you say yes 3 times, you're automatically programming that this is possible for you. And then you can, then you're no longer afraid of that fear. And then all these things start happening, new pathways open up, and then more than $500 shows up. And then you just keep doing that practice. And before you know it, it becomes an expression of who you are. It's so ingrained in you that you're like, oh, how do you just never worry about anything? Well, because I've spent all this time living consciously, living in awareness, and practicing these principles in my life. And I'm not afraid. A lot of times people think the biggest fear we have is the fear of death or the fear of loss, fear of running out of money, fear of losing anything, right? In the cave days, it was the fear of death, fear of being eaten alive. Now in the modern world, this is translated into the fear of going broke, fear of not being loved, fear of being abandoned, fear of failure, all of these other things, because our mind doesn't understand the difference. And so we have to reprogram our mind, and we need to live in that infinite awareness. And when we can do that, we allow ourselves to live in a different space, a different energy. This is living in that higher vibration. This is living in that consciousness. But it doesn't mean we bypass it. It doesn't mean that we don't honor ourselves when we're having those moments. And it sure as hell doesn't mean that we're freaking perfect and that one day we won't fly off the handle or react. And that's one of the things that they gave me in the beginning was they said, I did a download tonight. They said they need to know that this doesn't mean they have to be perfect, Lynette. We don't have to be perfect. It doesn't mean that we're always going to live this way. We're human. We're having a human experience. To me, this is consciousness testing and evolving itself. This is that universe within the universe learning. Every time you watch the news, how you privately react to something has the capability of changing everything. It starts with us. It starts with us. So if you want to open your gifts, if you want to be clairaudient, if you want to feel, if you want to connect with beings, do it because you want to help yourself first. And when you can do this practice, right, and you can face these wounds, you can have grace and have space for yourself. When you can do that and you understand you, what happens is you trust without a shadow of a doubt what's coming through your mouth, who you're connecting to. You trust when you have a bad vibe and you say, I'm not familiar with your energy. I don't think I want to connect with you today. Maybe try back tomorrow, right? And you don't take it personally. You don't be like, God, I'm a wuss. You're honoring yourself, right? You don't give let me just give you a secret about commitment and falling on your face. I'm a 1-3 for the people that follow human design. I'm a creator. 1-3s do a whole lot of trying every possible way so that everybody else doesn't have to, right? We do all the dirty work and then we create the thing that helps everybody else. So for those that have been following me since before I brought spirituality into my business, they can tell you that I have changed, not really directions, but I have kind of taken splinters off, brought in people, take people away, I've done this, I've done that. Some things have gone phenomenal. Some things have been super successful, and some things flopped, and some things failed. And that's okay. It didn't mean anything about me, but I learned something from each of those experiences. Some of you may have noticed that Ashley is not really around too much anymore. And so I want you guys to know, and I will be making an announcement about this, Ashley and I are no longer business partners. It does not mean that we won't ever collaborate again. It doesn't mean that we still aren't best friends. It means that we had our time together, we learned what we needed, and we went our separate ways. And in business, but the company itself is still in a hole and it's still under my name. And so it doesn't change, it changes the dynamics and the energy of the group and the space, but it doesn't mean anything about me or my business or Ashley or her business or what we created together, because we created some amazing things together. And I bring this up because it's a perfect example of what can happen. And when you judge yourself, you open the door for others to judge you. But when you're confident in yourself and what's happening, and you understand it at some sort of level that it was happening for you and that there was an experience to be learned, nobody cares. Nobody is paying attention to that really, because they're like, whatever, like things are flowing, things are good. She seems strong and happy and confident. It doesn't mean you still won't get the random 1 or 2 people, but for the majority, you attract where you are and you attract who you are. And that's an important thing to remember, because again, whatever's going on in here is going to show up out here. We create our own reality. We create our own reality all the time based on our responses in the moment. Does anybody have any questions with me so far? We might run a little over. It's a lot of information in here, but this is why I wanted you guys to have the replay, because I want you to be able to go back and write down notes and do all that stuff. I made some random weird notes, so I wanted to give these to you guys real quick. Here's a question I want you to ask yourselves, and you can journal about this if you want. Do you neglect your own needs to give people exactly what they want or need, just so that you will be loved, or they will love you, and think you are Superwoman or Superman? I was super guilty of this, and every now and then I still find myself doing it. So ask yourself that. Do you neglect your own needs and give people exactly what they want or need, just so that they will love you or think you are Superwoman or Superman? This creates the energy of resentment, by the way. And resentment is such an icky energy. It's one of the ones I just dislike the most. The other thing is, there's a couple of stones that I wrote in that I would love for you guys to, if this is the energy, this wounding of abandonment that we were just talking about, is something that you experience in your life, chrysocolla, which is, I actually have some, I'm wearing it. I was going to show you a raw piece, but I don't know where it went. Aquamarine, citrine, gold topaz, all good stones to carry on you if you're experiencing these wounds. And what we're going to be entering into tonight in our transmission is the Temple of Venus. Venus is the temple of ascension. Again, ascension is that mastery of emotions. And so this is the place that we're going to enter into to face some of these things tonight and really feel what it feels like to kind of integrate. Magick monthly members got, I think it was last week, a healing trauma energy transmission. And I'm going to be using some of those techniques tonight as well as my purification, like a touch of my purification process. And these people that are in there were having the most profound experiences. I had someone who started chanting light language who was healing a pattern or lifetime when they were galactic. I've had people coming to me for healing major inner child wounds. So the things that we do on all levels, mind, body, soul, working tangibly together, right? There's the power of three again. This is how we return to our wholeness, because we are whole. We just have to return to the awareness that we are actually whole. Any questions before I continue? I would like to take just a few minutes before we get ready for the transmission. I'm going to share, oh, actually, hold on a second. I'm going to create some, I like to control open system preferences. God only knows. Okay, before we head over to the energy transmission, and which, by the way, is amazing. It's going to be a much shorter version than, of course, what I would do here in the Soul Evolution, but I promise you it's going to give you in-depth insight on how you can do this yourself at home, as well as a taste of the healing that will be available to you in this course. So I would like to take this opportunity just to quickly overview what I am opening up and making available to you, and that is the Soul Evolution. This is the pathway of purpose, power, and prosperity. There will actually be a few different phases or stages of the Soul Evolution program, and this is obviously going to be the first of its kind. And so the whole purpose of this is really to fast track your journey, to really allow you to open your gifts, your life, and flow freely, right? This is going to be answering those questions that we all seek of who am I? How do I open my gifts? What are even my gifts at all, right? How do I use them? And how do I trust them? Because listen, in all seriousness, my gifts opened up before I was ready for them. And it was like having a healing crisis at the same time. It was overwhelming. It was emotional. I didn't trust them. I didn't know how to use them. And this is what happens when they get kind of forced open. And you don't want it to happen that way. It's not necessary. And it's not what you're looking for. And I know a lot of you think, oh, it is. I really want them to just open. But if you're not prepared for it, it can be quite overwhelming. So the answer to all these questions of how do you open your gifts and how do you use them and how do you trust them, the answer is simple. It's to get out of your own way, right? You get out of your own way because when you're out of your own way, you trust yourself. You're confident in yourself. You know who you are. You know how to read your body. You know how to read your own guidance. And so if you really want to be able to get out of your own way and you want to be able to do these things, not just to help other people, but to help yourself have that life of peace and adventure and calm and joy and bliss that you've always wanted, this is the quickest way to get there. And that's why you've been drawn here. It's why you were drawn to the Masterclass to begin with. And so we do that by undoing all the ties that bind you, so that your soul inside of you can evolve and expand. And what's binding you are the limiting beliefs, are the patterns, and some of which weren't
even consciously printed into you, right? Some of these came from the crystallization of the water in your mother's womb. They come from different points and places. And all of these create false stories. They create masks so that we think that we're just afraid of failure, but really underneath that there's a root, and that root is what's really binding you. So this is going to be a 8-week live journey. And so this is going to be done completely different than a lot of courses. And it's going to be done differently than the courses that the normal digital courses that I've offered. And that is I'm going to be reading the energy of the group. Okay. And by reading the energy of the group, and this is the group that signs up. So let's say 10 people sign up and they're all beginners. Well, the information I want to dive into, I'm not going to take it to that higher level of learning, because the people that are joining need me to start at the more basic level of understanding. But if 10 people join the group and they're all higher level, right? They have a really good grasp of a lot of these basic techniques, then we can go in super, super deep, right? And we can really get in there, but it's going to depend on the energy of the group. I don't want to pre-record and have a preconceived notion of who's going to sign up. I can tune in and read the energy of who might show up, but I'd rather have it be a little bit more open and say, here's an opportunity for all who believe it's possible for them to change their destiny, to create the life that they are desiring. And if that's you, then come join us and allow me to tailor this experience in this course to you, to your energy. And that is just not something that's offered a lot anymore. So let me show you what we're going to be going over on these 8 weeks. And it may go into 10 weeks. It's really going to depend on the audience that comes forward. So some of the topics that we're going to be diving into is, first, we will be laying some groundwork. The groundwork is going to consist of understanding your gene keys and human design chart, not going into this super deep, but I do want you to understand very simply, right, how to use these tools. We're not going to be diving in real deep, because I believe these tools are beautiful and I do use them in my work with my clients because it's a quick reference. And these tools provide confirmation, right? I'll tell you, I went through my journey. I went through my whole journey, like 2.5 years of major healing work before I found either one of these tools. And what I can tell you is all they really did was confirm and kind of take it to a little bit more deeper level where I could fine tune the little missing pieces that I wasn't seeing before. And so we want to be able to use them in that way. And I want to show you how to do that. I'm also going to give you some basic understanding of the law of attraction in a different way, a different point of view. And that is that we create our own reality. And a lot of people struggle with this. I know I did, suffering from abuse and poverty and all those things in my life. How did I create that, right? So we kind of go into that so that you have an understanding of how you really are the creator here, that you really are the one who's in charge. And I also give you a lot of not ground level, but exercises and techniques that are universal and that can be very beneficial for you to take on this journey, okay? And then we start getting into the root of things. And this is where we're going to spend the meat of this course, is getting to the root of the woundings, the beliefs, the patterns from other lifetimes, from your ancestors, your parents, the patterns from maybe when you were a childhood, from situations that occurred, the emotional densities. Here they all represent masks. So the fear of failure is a mask, right? Distrust or doubt in yourself is a mask. Feeling unconfident or overweight, or what's another good one? You know, these things are all masks that we wear. We blame our parents. You know, my kids made me feel guilty I did this when I was 19, and so now I'm paying the price for it now. It's karma, right? All these things are masks. They're all masks. Underneath that fear of failure, fear of success, underneath that neediness, underneath that self-denial and self-sabotage that you wear is a root. Just like weeds in a garden, right? There is a root to it. And when you can spray weed killer on it, right? And you can temporarily do it with maybe, say, just affirmations or spiritual bypassing or focusing on something that's good. You can temporarily stop that root, or that weed, but the root is still there. You haven't healed it. So what happens is it spreads to something else and shows up somewhere else in your life. So what we want to do is we want to get to that root, and we want to do it in a very safe, sacred space where you are held in grace, where you are held in love, and where you feel the most opened and have the highest impact of transforming that root back into rich, fertile soil. Okay. And this is what we're going to be doing. And everybody has a different pain point, a different wounding, but then we also have them all. And so I'm going to have something later on this slide to show you that will absolutely make sure that this is tailored to you, and that every wounding, every pattern, everything is met on this experience. And this is the point. When we get to the root and we dissolve it and we create that rich, fertile soil again, it's like a blank slate. We can create anything we want. We can plant anything we want. So we're going to dive into hopefully a little bit of the relationships here. And this is, when I talk about relationships, we all have a point of which we are attracting, not just people, but experiences. And when you can understand the energy of what you are attracting, it really changes your perspective. So then you begin to understand who you've called into your life and what purpose they served, right? I was married 3 times. I've been married 3 times. I'm on my 3rd marriage. I make it no secret that that's the case, right? It's not a reflection of me. It's not, I can't, I don't label myself as not good enough or something's wrong with me because I've been married 3 times. I used to, but I don't anymore, because I understand this relationship space here. I understand that I manifested these relationships. I attracted them to me for where I was at that moment so that I could evolve and learn a lesson. They were stepping stones on my path. And it's okay to say that, because whatever and whoever I called in, it was to the benefit of them as well. It was a mutual attraction for a reason. There was something that we needed to gain. Now, this can be also a beautiful thing, right? It doesn't always have to be lessons. But when you understand that we are attracting who we are and where we are, and we understand the energy of our theme that we are attracting, it changes everything, right? So this was where we'll also be diving into what law of attraction is, and using my spiritual team says there's 33 universal laws. So we're not going to be diving into the universal laws, but I will be showcasing you how this can work simply, right? All of this is to do simple, deep healing work. We will be diving into surrender. Surrender is the most misunderstood word I feel that is out there in the healing community. We all live in a sea of uncertainty, and it can either overtake you or you can float with it, right? It can overtake you or it can take you to your destination. It can swallow you whole, that sea of uncertainty, and keep you drowning and being sucked down to the depths of God knows where, into those rabbit holes. Or you can float on top of it, and you can allow it to carry you to where you want to be. So we're really going to be diving into what surrender means, how we can surrender comfortably and safely and securely, and not feel like we're just giving up, right? Mind, body, this is huge. Let me tell you, I'm a really, really good energy reader. And the reason why I am is because I know how to read my own body. I'm very in tune and anchored into my body majority of the time. I still have my spacey moments. I am a starseed, but for the most part, I can read my body really well. And that took certain tools and techniques to be able to do so. And by using my own body as a compass, my team, my spiritual guidance team can allow me to use my body to read another's, right? And help me with that terminology. It also is a GPS system for my life and to navigate it, to know when something is not going to work out or is going to be beautiful, when something is a yes decision or a no decision, when I need to sleep more or when it's go time and I really need to take action. When you understand your mind-body connection and you're using the tools that we were given as the body and the mind, right? We are not our mind, we are not our body. However, when we use these tools to our benefit in this present moment, man, oh man, does it change the game. So we are going to go into purpose a little bit as well. This is going to, again, depend on the audience that joins us on this journey. And I'm sure you guys have heard me say earlier on the Masterclass that the purpose is not what you're here to do in this life. Your purpose is why you chose to come here and do this human experience again, right? This is much different. What you're here to do in the world is your mission, and it can be expressed through a business or through a 9-to-5 job or through charity work. It's not going to be all one thing. Oops, sorry about that, you guys. Okay, so we're gonna be talking about purpose and how we use that to anchor you into your body, and then expressing yourself. Again, diving into this will depend on the audience. We will touch on it though. Our expression is our soul's fingerprint. How we speak to the world is also how we speak to ourselves. And so we want to be able to own our power, own the way we express ourselves, and not feel bad about it, not feel like we have to do it a different way because everybody else does, right? So this comes back to knowing thyself at the deepest level. So this is very deep cellular work. But I want to make sure that you see this here. This is not a magic pill. I'm not here to make you think that I'm going to fix you, because the only person that can fix you is you. The only person that can return you to your wholeness that you actually are is you. And I say that because the struggle is real, folks. The struggle is real. Fear of rejection is real. Doubting ourselves is real. It's a real emotion. It's something that is real in our lives. Being afraid to succeed is real. This was mine. This was a big one for me. Feeling like you're not experienced enough, right? All of these things. But guess what? These are all masks. Every single one of these are masks, but they're still real feelings. And we don't need to say that they're not. We need to honor them. We need to allow them to be seen and heard so that we can get through the masks and into the root, because that's what they all have in common. They all have a root cause, right? There's a root to each of these, and we want to get to the root. And the root is always something much deeper and more profound. And one root can be 50 masks. Seriously, if you get to one root, you can collapse 50 different timelines or possibilities of patterns you won't want to repeat. Yes, I'm serious. All the gifts and desires are waiting for you and available to you. They always have been, and they always will be, right? They are on the other side, waiting for you to see them, to know that they are available to you. Just as we get to the roots of weeds in our garden, we're going to do the same for you on a cellular level. And that's true. When we heal these wounds, when we pull that root, we're not doing it just for ourselves. We are doing it for all timelines, all bloodlines, for our children, for the ones that came before us and after us, because really it's all going on at the same time. So here's my question to you. Are you ready to step into your path of purpose, power, and prosperity? I'm sure you are. If you are wanting to do it with me and this way and in my sacred space, then it's time to join the Soul Evolution. This is not just a typical digital course. We are going to be doing this work on a cellular level. This is mind, body, cellular work, okay? So it says each module, but it really should say each class, because it is going to be live. So these are going to be 60 to 90-minute live classes, depending on the questions and the audience that I pull in. I will be providing a basic workbook in the beginning that's going to have a lot of tools for you, information that I've gathered, that I have channeled, information from books, things like that, a resource book, if you will. And then we'll have easy on the ink printable workbooks for you to do some homework each week. In addition to, this is what everybody wants, right? Energy to evolve your soul. You guys are going to be getting a whole library by the time this is done of transmissions for each emotional root issue, for inner child work, deep mind, body, and aura clearing work, and more. This is going to be the most in-depth library I've ever created for healing trauma, patterns, limiting beliefs, really unwinding you, unlayering you, expanding your soul work. And this is an important piece that's often missing when we do the mindset work, or we just do the energy work. This course is encompassing all three, right? And it's very particular. This course is very niched into these emotional woundings, right? This is the focus of it, is clearing all the clutter, all the boulders, all the veils that lie in front of your path. So this is what the offering exchange is. It is one full price payment of $444 or two payments of $234. I decided to keep this relatively inexpensive, even though it is going to be a lot of valuable, intense work. I mean, 8 to 10 90-minute sessions with me at $250 a pop is my one-on-one rate. So this is an incredible offering for you guys. But I wanted to make it even better, so there is a full price bonus. If you pay the full $444 at one shot, you will get a bonus 1-hour session with me that you can use at any time over this course. If you get to a space where you are struggling and or just really wanting that extra one-on-one work just for you, then you can use it, right? So it's available to you throughout that whole time. You can pick whenever you're ready, and you can schedule that. And that is a $200 value. It's a beautiful, beautiful offering. And that's for as many people as sign up for the full price. I didn't limit it. So this is a bonus that's only going to be offered this round. And that means that this course is being recorded. It will be offered as a digital replay offering later on. So if you are taking this course live, you get an extra added bonus, and that is an in-depth guide for yourself. This is tailored to you. So I talk a lot about the mind body. One of the things that I did in my journey was change the way that I ate, and change my relationship with food. And I did this several different times. What I've learned through human design, and I have the software so that I can make sure that information for you is accurate, is I began eating, I feel like, let's see, what are we in April? In January, I began eating for my traditional Chinese element. I began listening to what my body and understanding what my body how it needed to be nourished, the foods that were going to best serve my body to make it the most optimal, and how the conditions of which I need to eat in. And it really gives you more in-depth understanding of how your body works best in all conditions. So emotional issues, movement, mental issues, food, all of it, right? So I'm going to be going into that. I'm going to be giving you a list of the foods that will be best serving your body, the conditions that are best serving you, when your optimal times are, the organs that your body utilizes the most, right? And this is for transmuting energy. This is for digestion of emotions and food. Understanding that helps you to navigate. So you'll understand when your body's out of alignment, your body will give you these symptoms. When it is in flow, it will look like this. This is such valuable information, you guys, because when energy moves through, let's say you have a higher self, or even let's just use Archangel Michael is with you, and he's trying to give you a message. His frequency of what he's offering you has to go through your aura. It has to go through the density of whatever food you've eaten, right? And then it's got to go through the density of the belief systems. And that kind of limits it. And then it has to go through the emotions that you're holding on. And that's a density that it's got to move through. So by the time you actually get the message he's trying to share with you, it's either you have no idea that there was even a message to begin with, or it's been completely mistranslated and mutated because it's had to go through so much density. So this really is about that whole mind, body, soul connection. This helps you to understand exactly what's happening around you and within you. And it's such a beautiful, beautiful gift. It's such a beautiful gift. And it helps really with the translation process of energy, of trust, of everything. Because food is energy. It is a beautiful thing. So you guys can check this link out and read some of my student love. Of course, you know me. If you're new to me, this is a little bit about me. I am a medium. I am a shaman. I am an energy facilitator. I am a DNA activated restructurer. I do have my own method called the Purification process, and I will be using that in this course. So here is some FAQs if you have any questions, and I would just love for you guys to join me. And please know that this really is very sacred work to me. This is what I personally have used to fast track my life and my gifts and my abilities and open myself up. And you have the same gift available to you. All right, so let's go ahead now and get ready for the energy transmission.
Okay, so any questions before we get started? This is what I'll need from you guys. If you have questions, you can pop them in. I'm going to need for you guys to make sure you are in a quiet space where you don't have a lot of distractions. If you're driving, you cannot be listening to this. It's not good. Be in a space where you can be either laying down, which is best, or comfortably sitting supported. If you have some water, you might want to take a sip. We had a beautiful activation come through for you of divine love. My throat is really scratchy. Divine love and peace. And an activation really is, all an activation is the energy's coming, is me illuminating, or the being illuminating where this energy lives inside of you. That's all an activation is. It's not anything outside of you, but it's an energy outside of you, or that's basically turning the flashlight on and saying, here it is within you. Okay. So the energy that we're going to be working with today is the energy of abandonment. It's going to be the energy of those fears. So I'm going to label them off again, because I want you to get it into your mind what the one thing is, or two things that you, out of this, that you really want to focus on. Okay. So this can be any of these things. Okay. So denial, meaning you deny yourself, or you deny, someone denies you stuff all the time. Lack, not feeling loved or good enough. You feel neglected or off balance, unbalanced. Not wanting to be alone with yourself. Guilt, or feeling like you're needy for attention. Maybe even needy as in you always want to be the helper, because then you feel loved, right? So that falls into that place too. People pleasing, invisible, afraid to speak your truth, afraid to show up, afraid of success or failure, lack of confidence, any of those type of things that, whatever one you're like, oh, that's the thing. I want you to keep that in your mind. And that allows it to come to the surface more easily, okay? So you can have headphones if you want. You can lay back. You don't need to watch me. I'm going to have my eyes closed anyway. You just need to be able to hear my words and allow them to just run through your body. If, they're already coming in, so I start to lose my cognitive thinking. So let's just get right into it and just allow yourselves to lay down, get comfortable, open your minds. And you don't have to be afraid of anything. You just have to be open to the possibility. I will use words like feel, see, hear. If you don't see or you don't hear or you don't feel, just know that what you need is happening and trust. Even if you knock out, some people will not lose consciousness, but they kind of feel like they took a nap. The work is still being done. You know, you didn't miss anything. You just maybe needed to take a little nap while it happened. Okay. Whew. Here we go. I'm going to move my mic up a little bit. I'm going to make sure. Oops. And let me lock this. Thank you. They were just telling me I need to lock. I need to lock the recording so nobody else comes in. Meeting. Okay, and it looks like everybody's muted. Perfect. All right, here we go. Just to get you into a centered space, go ahead and begin to take 3 deep belly breaths. So we're going to breathe into our belly through our nose and out through our mouth. With each breath out, we're going to be clearing out our thoughts, clearing out our emotions, allowing our body to just come into that space of centered relaxation, breathing in again through our nose and out through our mouth. Feeling the weight of the world lifting off of our shoulders. We have and deserve this time now to rest, to relax, to receive, to open up our body. Breathing in again through our nose and out through our mouth. Feeling your hips opening up, allowing your legs to fall where they may, feeling the support underneath you, whether you're sitting or laying down, feeling the weight of your body, feeling that you are in your body, getting to feel your breath naturally ebbing and flowing. Feel it as it moves up and down your spine, how it expands and contracts. Feel that wave of energy that's created through your being as you breathe. Really allowing you to fully surrender, fully relax. We're going to bring in some beautiful white light, and we're just going to allow that light just to quickly enter through your crown. And as this light moves, it's going to clear out and quiet all the noise of distractions, allowing them to take you deeper into yourself, deeper into your consciousness when you do hear them. Moving it down into your third eye, unlooping the mind, allowing the ego to take a back seat, to allow it to know that you are safe, and that it's okay to take a rest, to open your sight to see, moving down through your nose and your ears, and through your jaw, your teeth, gums. Really relaxing it, clearing out any tension, stress from all the busyness. Down your throat, over your shoulders. Just literally just enveloping any weights and letting your shoulders sink into this space. Down into your heart, where we begin to allow the walls to come down, preparing us to enter into a beautiful state of grace for ourselves. Down into our belly for our solar plexus and our sacral. When we enter our sacral, we call back all fractals, all parts and pieces of ourselves from all lifetimes, all space, time, realities, galaxies, and no time. We call them here to stand by our side so we are not alone. We have all the forms of ourselves. We are never alone. Down into our root, clearing the pressure we feel to get it right, to feel or to see or to hear or something magical to happen. We clear that and allow ourselves to just experience whatever we're meant to. Allowing that energy to run down into Gaia Sophia, 360 degrees around us, anchoring us even deeper into the space as it connects into her heart, and that energy reciprocates. Just feeling that connection. I bring your awareness to a beautiful pyramid in front of you. It's made of gold and copper. It's very strong. It's very secure. It's very sacred. The triangle always is. That beautiful pyramid, its structure. The door to the pyramid begins to open, and you walk towards it. Standing in front of the doorway, we open up with prayer before we step in. We feel our spiritual teams beginning to surround us as we say infinite consciousness, gods and goddesses, ascended masters, angels, archangels, benevolent beings, our spiritual teams, and our galactic families. We ask you to step forward, to surround us at this time, to blend with our consciousness, to allow us to see, feel, and hear what will transform us, which will allow us to take that next step, to open our souls up, to feel the love and peace and connectedness and trust within ourselves. We ask that you call forth the experiences, the feelings, the energy of abandonment in whatever form I need to see, I need to heal. And I ask that you do it only in this sacred space, in this beautiful triangle of transformation. The Venus energy, the ascension energy. And you take a breath, then you step in and cross that threshold. It may be dark and the door closes, and in the center Beaming down from the highest point is a beautiful light, shining bright on a sacred space for you. A beautiful, maybe it's a round sofa, or maybe it's a garden. And you allow yourself to take root, to get comfortable into that space. You begin to feel the light pouring in through the highest point, bringing you warmth, clearing your energetic field, quieting your mind. We ask the Council of 12 that has joined us tonight to raise the frequency of this space, to raise the vibration and the consciousness, elevating you into more of a ninth dimensional energy and space, allowing you to become the ultimate observers of your life. We call in those fractals of ourselves to begin to surround us within the triangle of transformation, almost circling us, creating a spiral as they line up and gather around, allowing ourselves to feel secure and sacred, allowing us to feel all parts of ourselves. We call forth the energy now of abandonment, of that denial, that lack of confidence, lack of trust, the fears, people pleasing, the afraid of standing in our light, for having a voice, for needing what we need for ourselves. We tap into that energy and we ask that the walls of our heart to be lowered temporarily, allowing us to feel deep within ourselves the thing that we fear feeling the most. Not that so we can experience pain, but so that we can experience grace, so that we can hold space for ourselves, so that we can feel this pain that we fear so deeply, and we can gracefully allow it to be seen, to be felt, to be heard. And when it has integrated, when it is time, we know that it will transform into light. It will change our cellular structure, our DNA. We will see this manifest in our life. New pathways open up, new opportunities, new air and confidence and light about our being. We will feel that energy. So we take this time as we raise that vibration up, and we ask to be seen, shown, heard, feel, whatever it is that we need. Maybe it was a time when we were a child. Maybe it was another lifetime completely. What is asking to be seen and felt and heard? We ask for three different fractals of your being to show you, allow you to feel, know, or see, to allow you to move through that fear or limitation or wounding that you have brought to the surface. So we take this time, and it will be quiet, and we allow for the energy to do the work. We allow for you to see one by one, to know and to feel, and we allow ourselves completely into that space, knowing that this is a temporary feeling. We don't have to be afraid. We can allow it. We can love ourselves through it. So I ask for you to surrender once again, for that first fractal being, inner child, whatever it may be, to step in front of you. And to allow yourself to experience whatever that you need to. And for the next and the next until it is through. ask that the three fractals of our being, who has been showing us what we needed to see, stand before us once again, collectively. We ask that each step forward one at a time as we look them in the eye and we say the Ho'oponopono prayer, allowing this energy to integrate into our being. As the first fractal of us steps forward, in whatever form it shows, allow your consciousness to repeat after me. I am sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. And feel that form of you. Hug yourself. Feel that connection, that love that you give that form, that part of you. And as you do, feel it begin to integrate into your consciousness, expanding your light, expanding your energy, and dissipating completely. As the next form or part of you steps forward, and we look and feel and connect intently, seeing it, feeling it, loving it, we say again, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. And as you embrace that part of you, you once again feel that energy beginning to integrate into your being. Integrating completely, expanding your light, expanding your consciousness, dissipating completely. As the third part of you steps forward and you once again make that connection, you see, feel, and know what it is that you are looking at and experiencing. And you say, once again, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. And feel yourself embracing that form of you, that part of you, completely. Feeling that integration once again, an expansion that is occurring until that energy completely dissipates. What we just did affects all time and space on a cellular level through the bloodlines, through our ancestral lines, through our crystallized DNA. As Kuan Yin steps in, she begins to allow a soft pink ray of grace to begin moving through all the forms, all the parts and pieces of you, like a spiral working its way on the outer rings of the other lifetimes of your inner children, of all the parts and pieces of you that you have rejected, abandoned, or denied, allowing this energy to absorb through that casual body, absorbing the pain, the experiences, the uncomfortableness, cleansing, lifting it from your crystalline structure. And as it moves through, getting closer, right on the outside of you in that astral realm where you can feel that energy twirling around you, clearing the emotional pain, detaching so that you can see it and allow it to now safely move through and release from the clenching of your body, allowing it to move through your heart, completely transforming. As that beautiful soft pink ray of grace starts to move into and through your skin, and through the tissues, through your bones, absorbing any of the negative programming or the unserving programming, I should say. All the pain, all the patterns, allowing the ray to just completely absorb that energy through your blood and through the waters that run, and moving into and through your tummy, gently absorbing any physical manifestations of blocked energy from these patterns in your stomach and your upper and lower digestive tracts. Really allowing for your column of light to begin to flow a little easier. Allowing that soft pink ray of grace to hold all of that energy as it moves up through your pancreas and through your liver, through your lungs, absorbing all of the toxins that you have been holding and refusing to breathe out of your being and into your heart, where it transmutes and transforms instantly. As Archangel Gabriel steps in with his white diamond fire ray of purification, this is the energy of preparing you for surgery, preparing you for removal of this weight that you have bared for centuries. This energy is very cleansing, and it begins to move through the fractals, completely allowing that energy to absorb and blend them down into your consciousness. As that energy twirls through the outside of all the parts and pieces of you, allowing it to carry them as it moves just around you. Feeling that energy swirling through your emotions and purifying them into space, to love, to grace. As you notice there's no one else around you other than Archangel Gabriel and the Council of 12. You feel this energy, this white diamond ray moving in through your skin, purifying anything that still remains right below the surface. It may have been under your skin, moving through your tissues, calming them, allowing them to rest, to not be inflamed and agitated. Through your bones, again, purifying that pattern, allowing it to no longer be a pattern for you to carry. Clearing that programming through the blood and waters that run, moving in through gently and comfortably through your tummy, through your upper and lower digestive tracts, really purifying any toxins, anything cleansing, absorbing into your stomach lining, into the walls, really getting into the cells of any trauma that's been trying to hang on. up through your pancreas, and through your liver, really allowing for any resentment and anger to just be extinguished. As we allow it to move through our lungs, purifying our breath, allowing for more oxygen and more life to be breathed in. As this energy returns to its ultimate destination and source, our heart space. Really purifying that heartache, allowing it to transform instantly into our being. As Kuan Yin allows for the aquamarine ray of regeneration and rebirthing to begin to flow all around you, really allowing your emotions to become rebirthed into this magnetic love, peace, and calm energy. Feeling this tingling, cool sensation all around the outside of your being. Moving into your skin. Really returning that suppleness. Regenerating your cells. Accelerating the healing on a manifested level. In through our tissue, into our bones. Programming in the forgiveness, the acceptance, the love, the peace, the calm that you received during this transmission. That activation has been imprinted into your bones as a new pattern, a healthy pattern. Through your blood and your waters, lifting any other densities or stains that are mutating the crystalline energy of your body, allowing them to be enveloped into that aquamarine ray, allowing for complete regeneration, acceleration, and rebirthing of your energy in through your stomach, and through your upper and lower digestive tracts, really allowing at a cellular level into the structure, the walls of your tummy and digestive tract to really be nourished, to be strengthened, to regenerate and accelerate that healing. We do so much work in our tummies. We hold so much energetically there. Allowing that beautiful aquamarine flowing, beautiful regenerative energy to move up into our pancreas and into our lungs, through our liver. Really just creating this acceleration, this regeneration on the cellular level of these organs, the structures deep within them. This process will continue for at least 24 hours after this transmission, as this is a lot of acceleration and integration taking place down into our hearts, where we allow the walls to remain down for as long as we feel that it's safe. We bring forth Archangel Michael with his sword of truth and his gorgeous blue flame ray. It's so bright and vibrant. And this sword of truth allows us to see the truth around us. It allows that truth, our truth, at a cellular level to be known and trusted. He begins to seal in this purification process by etching around us with his sword a triangle pointing north, overlapped by drawing a triangle pointing south. As we are in the center of these triangles, this is sacred Palladian gifts that we are being drawn around us. This is a sacred symbol of purification, harmony, and balance. As Archangel Michael circles perfectly, encompassing both triangles. As we invite in Kali Ma and Saint Germain, Goddess Kali Ma has a beautiful red flame. Saint Germain has a deep, deep purple flame. And together they make a very gorgeous violet. And we ignite this etching and feels the flames of transformation and transmutation around us as the energy builds to a point above us, clearing our auric field, transmuting anything that's hanging out there in that field. Just purifying, expanding our energy, allowing us to feel fresh and clean and expansive. And as the flames begin to dwindle down, we see the Council of 12 and our team uniting together collectively around us as a circle of showing that they are there for us, that they are uniting as one with us. And they begin to light their unique rays, creating this vortex of light that is intense and accelerating, and harmonizing and integrating as the column of light builds to the point, to the top of the triangle, allowing for intense transformation to take place as I seal this in at a cellular level. By the power of 3, I seal and release thee. By the power of 3, I seal and release thee. By the power of 3, I seal and release thee. And so it is. We allow that light, that ray to dwindle down and for the energy to begin to break. As we take this time to lower the vibration, the consciousness, the frequency of the room back down to a 5-dimensional state of being. And we take this time to thank our guides, infinite consciousness, Mother, Father, God, the Palladians, all of the beings, your personal teams that showed up for us today, so that we could feel supported as we showed up for ourselves and had some grace. I ask you to see yourself rising in this pyramid of transformation, this Venus energy, this ascension energy, this sacred space, and begin to walk out the door. And as you do, the door will close, sealing in that sacred energy that took place today. And I want you to look and know that this space is sacred, it is secure, it is safe. And whenever you need it, it is there for you. I want you to feel your feet as if you're standing in fresh soil, growing beautiful roots from them, spiraling out 360 degrees around you, anchoring yourself once again into this physical reality, allowing Gaia Sophia to infuse your energy with that grounded magnetic pull of feeling your weight once again returning, where you can begin wiggling your fingers and toes. And taking a couple of breaths. And when you are ready, you may return to my presence. If anybody, I know sometimes these can feel a little intense afterwards. So if anybody wants to share, I would love to hear. But if you just want to rest and tell me later in the group, you can absolutely do that as well. Or you can just put it in the chat. But I want you guys to know that this experience that we just went through is very sacred to me. This modality, this method of healing is very transformational. It's very sacred, and I don't take it lightly. And I share with you guys this information because whether you join me on this path, this new course that I have laid out, or do this on your own, these are the tools. These are the tools. So you can be empowered and you can do it yourself, or you can take a journey with me and we can go deep and I can hold space for you and I can take you through way deeper journeys than we went through today and have some serious transformation. But either way, you are empowered. You are the one that you have been seeking. I'm just here to give you other ways, show you the quickest and most powerful way to get through to where you want to be. Jen said that was so soothing. Thank you, love. You're welcome. And this was a very light transmission compared to what they will be, what they have been. Oh, look, I found my chrysocolla. But nevertheless, it was still beautiful, and there was a very strong activation that came through for the calm and peace and love within you. If anybody was to watch the meditation process or the energy transmission process, they would see my eyes go crazy, and that just means the activation's coming through. So if anybody watches it, don't worry, nothing's wrong with me. It's just what happens. So if anybody has any other questions, please, you can drop them or you can put them later into the group. I know we ran over. I always do. It's 10:01 right now. So I thank you guys for joining me tonight. I will send out the replay in 24 to 48 hours so that you guys have it and you can come back to it and if you want and take notes and do all that stuff. Okay. So thanks for joining me. I hope that you guys got everything that you needed, and we will talk soon. Bye.